So welcome to May's Basic Sampler here at Close to Home in Southington, Connecticut. You need to bring in your completed April block starting this Saturday, May 17th, through Saturday, May 31st to receive this May's kit free. Okay. Big savings on new as well as pre-owned sewing machines, sergers, long arms, machines up to 50% off, and great deals on trade-ins. And of course, we have restocked our 50% off Finish the Bolt selections. So please come in early to get the best selection on those. So this month's block uses the Creative Grids non-slip kitty cornered ruler, and that is going to make this unit in 11 different sizes. So the size we have is a 4-inch finished. We're also doing quarter square triangles. It's almost like a half quarter square triangle, and of course a very simple center. So we're going to be going over the kitty cornered ruler in a minute. I'd like to go over some of the cutting instructions with you for the basic block this month. The red plaid, which makes up our A units on our kitty corner, are going to be 4 5-inch squares. The center flower is simply a 4.5. The red, that's part of our north, south, east, west units. They are 4 7/8, but don't forget to cut those on the diagonal one time. And the blue is a 1 square only at 5 1/4. And this one you're going to cut on the diagonal twice. And of course the white strip, some of it is the B unit, and the other part is the north, south, east, west units, which are our quarter square, half quarter square units, I guess. So you're going to cut out a 5 1/4 square, cut on the diagonal twice, and from the remaining 5 1/4 strip, you're going to get 4 3.5-inch rectangles. Simple enough. And these 3.5-inch rectangle by 5 1/4 are our B units. So we're going to reference A unit and B unit on the Creative Sewing, the Creative Grids kitty cornered ruler. So I'd like to show you the ruler very quickly. We have certain sections that we will be looking at. The first one is here, step 1. It's cutting the A units. And we're going to fold our red plaid on the diagonal and place it with the fold on this dotted line. So depending on how big we're making our A units, it's extended the line all the way down for us. Like I said, it's so nice because all of your cutting instructions are on this ruler. Okay. The second step and the third step are for our B units, which is the sides or the backgrounds to our centerpieces. So here is step 2, and the B unit, we're going to make our half rectangles ish and I'll show that to you in a second. And then step 3 is the last one, where we're going to trim the little points off of our B units so that we know where they're going to fit along the edge of our A unit. And then the last step is to trim both edges on all 4 sides. So we'll get to that in a second. But A, step 1, B, step 2 and 3, and then the final step is the trimming. So let's get going. All right. So I can put my center aside. We're not going to use that. Very quickly on the half quarter square triangles, you're going to sew your triangles with the widest sides on the outsides. So my white is going to be at the top. Sorry, it's at the top for me. And the blue is going to be down the left-hand side. And we're going to sew these together along that connection right here. And they should be exactly the same size, 1/4 of an inch. Okay. We're going to press these units. You're going to make 4 of those, and we're going to press them toward the blue. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is add our red half square triangle to the side. Again, it fits perfectly, and we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch down the side. So I have one made here, as you can see. The white was at the top, the blue is to the left, and the red's on the bottom. And we're going to press again to the blue, and the last one is pressed toward the red. We're going to make 4 of these units. Okay. All right, let's go move on to the kittied cornered. So we're going to start with our red plaid. The red plaid we're going to fold on the diagonal. Please don't fold it on the rectangle. We're going to fold it on the diagonal because we want that kite shape. It says to give it a little bit of a press, but I'm just going to kind of finger press it down that fold. I'm going to take my take my fold from my triangle, and step 1 says to place the fold on this line and the fold square diagonally and place it on that line. So it tells you pretty much as you go along. So it's going to go right up to the very tip of this, and I'm just going to follow that dashed line all the way down and trim it. Okay, let's scrap. When we open it up, we have ourselves our little kite shape. All right, one more time. I'm going to fold in half, give it a little bit of a finger press, place the fold on that step 1 line, right up to the point. Hold on to it nice and there we go. Right on that fold, right at the point, and go ahead and trim that. And that's all there is. So we're going to make 4 of those from our 4 5-inch squares. All right. The next one are our B units. Now, we need a left and a right, so it's very important that we place our fabrics one up, one down, or wrong sides together, and one up, one down, wrong sides together. As you can see, it's hard to see, but these are wrong sides facing. Okay. And what I like to do is just go ahead and place those. I'm going to cut all 4 at one time, but you can cut them in pairs. It's fine. So let's go over to step 2. Step 2 says to align the left edge of the rectangle along this line. So let's get that right into the corner. I'm going to place that line. It's aligned right with the line, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my B unit. Now you'll notice I have a little blunt side on this top, and I'll have a little blunt side on the bottom. These are equal pieces. Step 2 is to take this point and trim it off. So I'm just going to flip this one around so we have the same units looking at us. And I'm going to trim this off and trim this off. So we're going to go over to step 3, and we're going to clip the corner of this B unit. So here's my lines, and here's step 3, and all we want to do is clip off this little corner. So we're just going to put this into the corner so it lines up, and we're going to trim it off. And this is really going to help us line up where they go on our kite shapes. So again, line it up and trim it off. Okay. So now we have lefties and righties. So if I look at this pile, this is face up. I have this one, and I'm going to flip this one. They're both right side up. I have a right side up, and this is now right side up. So I have lefties and righties. Same with this. Right side up, and flip this one, right side up. So we're just going to get these lined up, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our kite shape. Now, all the blunt edges that we just trimmed are going to be up toward the smaller side of our kite. Okay, all the points of our triangles are all coming down to one corner. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the right side first, and when we flip this over to sew it, you'll notice that this angle is exactly the same as that blunt trim that we did on step 2 of our B unit. So we're going to sew from that little notch right here all the way down. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Make sure your raw edges are right on top of each other, that they don't slip away. There's a lot of bias edges that we're trimming using this ruler, so it's really very important to use the Best Press by Mary Ellen. It'll keep your pieces nice and stable for you to use and to cut. All right, so I have my first piece. Everything gets pressed away from the center piece, away from the red plaid. So I'm just going to push this over and give it a little bit of heat. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sew on this left side. So let's bring it back over so you can see. Same with this, we have a nice straight edge right here. This notch that we cut, when we flip this over, is going to line up directly on the edge of our A unit again. And I'm just going to line up my raw edges going all the way down, and we're going to sew from the notch all the way off our fabric. It's going to be a little lumpy down here, but don't panic, because that's all going to get trimmed. So let's go ahead and press or sew this. Now I can't really sew with the seam to the left, so I'm just going to flip it over and sew my 1/4 of an inch. It doesn't matter, it's the same side. Line up that edge. There we go. I have my raw edges right on top of each other. I'm going to sew right to the very end, crisscrossing the seam I just did. Okay. We're going to go ahead and press this one again away from our A unit. So we'll take that over to the iron. And again, we'll just flip this over and put a little heat on it. Count of maybe 4 or 5, just to give it a good press. All right, and once again, we have nice even edges. So now let's go trim this side first and then this side. And we'll be all done. So let's go to the trim piece first. You'll notice on the trim piece that we have this little tiny diagonals right here, this little point. They're going to line up right with the tip of our A unit. All right, so I'm going to place those right there. The line that's going straight down is going to intersect with the corner of my A unit. So everything's lined up. I check that it's right in that little area right here, and it's right out of that corner, and I'm able to trim side 1 and side 2. All right. So So now that we have that side trimmed, we're making a 4-inch finished unit. So we're going to turn this around and place the newly cut edges on the 4-inch mark. Okay, so here's my 4-inch. As you can see, here's my dashed line. So that dashed line is going to go right on that edge, and I'm going to have a 4.5 inch, because here is my seam allowance. It's putting the seam allowance in for me. So I just made a 4.5 inch unit. All right. When you have these units made, it's just a matter of sewing 3 across and then sewing our rows together. Okay. So if you wanted to, I suppose you could turn this around, make it a little bit different, make each of these pointing toward the middle, bring the red plaid out a little bit. I'll leave that up to you. Kind of play around with the block just a bit, and make sure you come in before the end of May to get your May kit free. Don't forget your April block. All right, thank you for watching.